The spirit over America. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I think the biggest thing that, if you've paid a little bit of attention to the news, and even if you haven't paid attention to the news, there's some things popping up. For me, I don't really necessarily watch the news or anything that really pertains to it, because God leads us and lays us down in green pastures and leads us beside still waters. So there's nothing really to worry about. But a couple of things have popped up that I've read and said, wow, I can't believe certain things have been said. And this pertains to what Trump is possibly going to be doing later on today at 5 p.m. I mean, there's a lot of warning. So the funny part is, with how much warning, makes me think that it's probably not going to happen. But if it does happen, there is some spiritual laws and principles that are going to affect us in America and going to affect the whole world as well too. And it was reminding me of Revelation and what Revelation says about the whore of Babylon and the scarlet beast, or the whore riding on the beast dressed in scarlet. So it's quite interesting. Let's get into Revelation chapter 18. And let me bring you guys there. And we're going to be in the first verse, Revelation 18, verse 1. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his joy. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In a cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen. I am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall utterly burn up with fire, or burned. She shall utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her, when she shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her. For no man buyeth their merchandise any more, the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and of fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all fine wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beast and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. And the fruits of thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee. And thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand far off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city, which was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught. And every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by the sea, stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping, wailing, saying, Alas, alas, the great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reasons of her costliness. Costliness. For in 1 hour she is made desolate. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of the harpers and musicians, and of pipers and trumpeters, shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. And in her was found the blood of the prophets and of the saints, and of all that were slain upon the earth. So reading all of chapter 18 really shows us that this is what is to come. Now, is this going to happen when Trump has declared that he is going to destroy every single person in Iran and destroy everything? Is all of this going to happen when he does that? Well, not necessarily. I don't think that's going to happen. I believe that we still have more time because prophetically there's more stuff to come. But this is also when an angel came down from heaven and has declared this. So to get to this point, it's quite easy to see that the actions that a country takes is going to affect that country. And the spirit that is over America right now is one of the principalities that we wrestle with. Let me bring that up. And we are going to be... Okay. And we're going to be in Ephesians 6, verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand the wiles of the devil. Now, this is important. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, and against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And these are our rulers. These are the things that we wrestle against. We don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but we do wrestle against principalities, against powers, and against rulers of the darkness of this world, and also against spiritual wickedness in high places. When we realize that and we see certain statements being made, especially by our commander-in-chief, which is our president, President Trump, it's quite alarming, saying, well, you know, it's not me, but it's still going to affect the country. God is going to still protect his own. That is what God does say, but it does mean that life is going to change. And that change in our life is something that we can prepare for and just be aware of. I mean, it's quite easy to see. I think the people in Egypt, when they were seeing all the plagues happening to Pharaoh, I would put money that, you know, the ones that knew God, the ones that feared the Lord, said, well, this isn't good. I don't know what's going to happen. I know the Lord's going to take care of me. I know God is going to take care of me, but things are being shaken up quite greatly. And God can give evil spirits to people. He can torment them with an evil spirit from him. And we see this in 1 Samuel. But let me read this. This is the word genocide. So it's quite interesting thinking of what happened to the Jews in the Holocaust, right? And that's not even the only one, but we said that we would we wouldn't do genocide anymore. That's the whole point of why we went into, quote unquote, why we went into World War II in the first place, was because of or World War One. I forget which World War. I believe World War One, 1940. No, World War Two, 1942 to 1947. So, but and this does not fit to the T, because it's not about race, ethnicity, or nationality. It is about money and whatnot. But I mean, at the same time, it is about race, because I mean, Benjamin, the Jew over there, decided he just wanted to attack Iran for no reason. And Trump said, yeah, we have to do it. National security. Even though we already destroyed all their nukes, supposedly. Remember, they advertised that on news. They showed you that of them destroying it. And it's just crazy. Okay. Genocide. The deliberate and systematic destruction of a group of people because of their ethnicity, nationality, religion, or race. The term derived from the Greek genos, race, tribe, or nation, and the Latin side, which is killing, was coined by Ralph Lemkin, a Polish-born jurist who served as an advisor to the U.S. Department of War during World War II. Although the term itself is of recent origin, genocide arguably has been committed throughout history, though some observers have restricted its occurrence to a very few cases, according to Thucydides. For example, the people of Milos were slaughtered after refusing to surrender to the Athenians during the Peloponnesian War. Indeed, in ancient times, it was common for victors in war to massacre all the men and conquered population. The massacre of Cathari during the Albigensian Crusade in the 13th century is sometimes cited as the first modern case of genocide, though medieval scholars generally have resisted this characterization. And then we also have in 1 Samuel as well too. In 1 Samuel, the Philistines, that David was constantly going out and slaying the Philistines. And we do see that God does take whole populations and people out as well too. It is not uncommon. But when these things are said and done, it's either for the Lord or it's not for the Lord. And to ask ourselves, is this really for the Lord or is it not? I mean, the question is Trump truly a servant of God or is he not? And if you believe he is a servant of God, one, read your Bible, and then two, then nothing will happen. We're doing the Lord's work, right? But if he's not, then he's going against God. And that means there will be repercussions. This is a spiritual law. We're going to open up our Bibles to 1 Sam. Let's see. Oh, there we go. I don't know how it got switched over. There we go. Okay, so 1 Samuel and verse... or chapter 16. Let me bring you guys in. There we go. And we're going to go to verse 14. Now this is about Saul. And if you believe that this might be better for you guys to see. If you believe that the Lord can't give you an evil spirit, then you really need to read 1 Samuel again. But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. And Saul's servants said unto him, Behold, now an evil spirit from God troubleth thee. And then we also see why David had to play with his hands. In verse 23. And it came to pass, when an evil spirit from God was upon Saul, David took up a harp and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. But it keeps coming back up. It keeps coming back up in Saul. But the main point, yeah. See, and then we also have in chapter 18, verse 10. And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from God came upon Saul, and he prophesied in the midst of the house, and David played with his hands, and as at other times, and there was a javelin in Saul's hand. And Saul cast the javelin, for he said, I will smite David, even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice. So the evil spirit of the Lord can come upon you if the evil spirit of the Lord, or if God decides that you need an evil spirit. So how this pertains to Trump and what's been going on is, well, I mean, he's mocking God, he's blaspheming God, saying all of this Christian stuff and Easter and all these blaspheming things, and then saying, well, I'm Christian. And this is for the Christians. Get behind me. I'm doing this for God. I'm doing this for God. Well, that's blasphemy. That's blasphemy. So let's get into this. Quite interesting. And just listen to what Trump is saying. And this is really what's going on with the spirit, and why we might be in some very interesting times coming ahead. And we also might not. Nothing might happen. Nothing might happen. There might be a total surrender in Trump's favor and what have you. But there also quite possibly could not be.
We'll bring that to you.
Iran has until later today to reopen the Strait of Hormuz or risk the destruction of all of its power plants and bridges. On Truth Social this morning, President Trump posting that, quote, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. Now, he went on.
All right. So it says, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight. One of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran. That is crazy. That is outrageous. That is outrageous. There's so many blasphemous things that are going on with this, but wow. And then God bless the people of Iran after threatening to destroy all of them. Well, one, they don't believe in our God. I mean, there probably are some, and that's just crazy. And that's not even the craziest part, right? The craziest part is in the first line. A whole civilization will die, never to be brought back again. I mean, what country can say that and not, wow, and not think that there's going to be repercussions for our country spiritually? I'm sure Paula White probably gave him the vision. That crazy kook. But that is crazy. That is crazy. And another crazy thing on top of that, right, is I thought we utterly destroyed them. We already won the war. This is crazy. We live in some of the most craziest times right now. I mean, there's a lot of crazy things that have happened in the world, but this time is quite amazing to be alive. These years is quite an amazing time to be alive, because no one's acting anymore. It's like the evil spirit from the Lord and these people and these devils are just coming out and just saying what's on their mind. It's refreshing because you actually get to see who these people truly are. But when it comes to, at least lying for the better cause and the prosperity of a country, or at least protection of a country and whatnot, or your people, there really is no shadow games, and that's just crazy to think about.
On to say that tonight will be one of the most important moments in the history of the world. President gave Iran until 5 p.m. our time to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Some critics say going after...
See, so this is the important part too. At the same time is, well, we have until 5 our time. Now I don't know, 5 maybe East Coast time, possibly. I don't know. So depending on where you live, that's the time to, man. The news is going to blow up with all kinds of different things, and this is probably trying to get us detracted from something. I just don't know what, but something's fishy about this that they're trying to cover up at the same time, or an agenda that they're trying to push forward with this. I just can't put my finger on it. I just know when something stinks, and this definitely stinks.
After Iran's infrastructure would violate international law.
What the president is doing is threatening war crimes, and the American people already recognize that this illegal war of choice is a big mistake.
Messaging on the war.
But that is an...
See, that's what we just went over. It's genocide. This is straight up a war crime that I think we even made, that we wrote the law for. So how are we a defender of the peace and freedom when we're going to just destroy someone and people because they haven't done nothing? We're not going after soldiers. We're not going over after government officials, but we're just going to go after the people. There has to be a repercussion back to us, and I think it's going to come quickly. I really, really do. Nothing to be afraid of, because if you are for the Lord, then the Lord will protect his own. But at the same time, there's also a chance that we might meet the Lord at the same time too, if you know what I mean.
Argument President Trump so far has dismissed.
Are you concerned that your threat to bomb power plants and bridges amount to
No, not at all. No. I hope I don't have to do it.
Negotiations are ongoing, but Iran has rejected a 45-day ceasefire agreement, with leaders saying they want a permanent end to the war. So as the conflict continues, let's get a check on those gas prices. The national average cost for a gallon of regular gas right now, $4.14, and that's up.
Yep, and it's only going to go higher. So I thought that was pretty crazy. Just that popped up on my news thing, and I don't really watch it. But that popped up and I said, wow, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, a whole civilization. So this is what pops up. I try to get rid of these as much as possible, but that's what popped up. And I said, dang, and this is still the Feast of Unleavened Bread that's going on. That's a fat little cat right there. The big orange man is the sweetest cat ever. So I don't really have anything more to say or bring up, but it's just quite interesting. We live in some unprecedented times because of also the capabilities that we have. We have some very interesting capabilities as far as militarily. So anyways, read scripture. This just brought me to think about Revelation 18 and also the spirit over America. It is not a godly spirit. It definitely is not a godly spirit, and we've seen this throughout time as well too. I just don't trust any leader, And so that's just the way it is. But I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And go read Revelation 18. All right. God bless.